Warning, personal opinions, satirical comedy, and spoilers.
Don't you want to be a real family again?
But we are a real family. Why did they have to move in with us?
Come on, Mina Mouse. Put on your happy hat. For my sake.
Am I a bad dad?
Am I a bad mom?
Yes.
Be sure to join ToonGrin socials. Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm WHYBOY and this is NERO.
Yep.
Oh, what you got you so glum, NERO?
Look, I appreciate that you and I, on rare occasions, will go out on an adventure. That adventure usually being the $5 bin at the local Walmart. Sometimes you and I have actually found occasional diamonds in the past and be like, oh wow, we found something pretty cool, pretty interesting. And then there are other times where we find things that are terrible. But the most recent discovery on our expedition, more or less your expedition, you went to a Walmart, found a $5 bin. You found something called
Dreambuilders. Yes, I saw the box art and I was just like, wow. This could either be really good or really bad.
It was both!
So what's the plot, NERO, of Dreambuilders?
Alright, so the basic premise, because you make it sound vastly more whimsical than it actually is that there are two really broken families. You have John with his daughter Mina, and you have Helen with her daughter Jenny. John and Helen get married and are virtually out of the majority of the film and contribute almost nothing whatsoever to the main plot. Jenny's main characterization is she's a pain in the butt, and Mina is the one that's going through a hard time. Well, it turns out that when Mina dreams, she discovered that beyond your dream, there is a realm. And in that realm, there are the dreams of everybody else. And she realizes that by doing certain things to certain dreams, you could affect reality.
Yes, by entering into a dream stage, if you were.
Yes, as a dream stage. So the idea comes down to she wants to try and fix everything that's happening because her house is broken. Because the moment Jenny and her mother come in, the dad shows that apparently his spine is non-existent, and he bends over backwards to make Jenny comfortable, to make Helen comfortable, and completely sacrifices any of Mina's happiness, and will honestly kind of gaslight her repeatedly by telling her to put on her happy hat.
Come on, Mina Mouse. Put on your happy hat. For my sake. Happy hat?
Go.
Happy hat.
Because only she needs to make the sacrifice for this family.
It is just so maddening watching this movie because it starts off so well.
There's so much promise at the start.
Yeah, the dream stage is a wonderful place. How they basically just sort of like, visualize making these dreams. Each one of these dreams is so distinct from each other. And that part of the movie was so good. It was so imaginative, so wondrous to be part of. Then we got to go back to Mina and Jenny.
But then when you get to the stuff that really should connect with us, like Mina dealing with the whole family rearrangement, we don't really explore it. As a matter of fact, it's only kind of explored specifically through just Mina's perspective, and everybody else is just kind of there.
Yeah, we do see the fallout of her, affecting dreams and such. Whereas, if you just place something within the dream, like anchovies, for example, in her dad's dream, it just makes her dad suddenly just really want to crave anchovies.
But then that's also countered because when she goes into Jenny's dream, because Jenny hates her pet hamster, she wants Jenny to like the hamster, so she uses the hamster in Jenny's dream. So when Jenny wakes up, she likes the hamster, but she's still annoyed and disgusted by the hamster like she was before, which implies that what you do in the dream doesn't take to the real world, but it 100% did with her dad like that. But for Jenny, it doesn't. There's no sense of cohesion of the rules that are set up in this film's universe.
It feels like it's only based on just what works within the storytelling that they want to go. They basically want Jenny to be the combative one, to basically push against Mina throughout the entire movie without really stating a rule that can basically, explain it away. Just saying just people with strong personalities stay within the dream stage for the longer time.
Let's bring that up. They add I don't know what you got, a ticking clock element.
Yeah.
That the longer you are away from your dream stage, you will eventually just cease to exist. You basically evaporate, kind of like Bing Bong from Inside Out.
Almost exactly like Bing Bong.
And you will just remain in a coma. And Mina was only away for maybe a few minutes at best. Jenny ends up falling into the dream trash, and she's gone for well over 24 hours, and she doesn't start disappearing until Mina makes the effort to go down and get her. And that's one of those rules they add to the story where it's like, you could throw that out, because they established through a line of dialogue with the inspector of the dreamscape that if you fall into the dream trash, anything there, because it's just such a vast universe of all the stuff that's been expunged from dreams, it's just gone.
Yeah, exactly. So basically a ticking clock mechanic doesn't really really need to be there.
And that's where I think this movie is a knockoff of Inside Out.
Yeah, now we're just like really laying it out there. It's just like, especially with the dream trash and basically fading away and everything like that. It basically is trying to take what Inside Out had in terms of its like tick and clock mechanic. It basically wanted that same gut punch of emotion and all that, but it doesn't really like stick the landing because it's trying to basically balance that sort of gut punch with the gut punch of what the two girls have gone through with their broken families.
I was very young, but I remember it all. You sang and kissed me goodnight like you always did. But in the morning, you were gone.
Can't you see, Helena?
You've never been invested in this family.
Before we had Jenny, we were happy.
Oh, you both are very similar. You come from broken homes. That's all well and good.
Yeah, because as soon as you basically try to take a step down into it, you basically see that it doesn't have any sort of follow-through on it. Mina especially just has to accept it. Be like, oh, you just gotta treat Jenny with child gloves and all that, even though she's being absolutely horrible to you, an absolute just little diva just trying to ruin your life, basically.
Again, this is something we had discussed when you and I had watched Rhea, where when you make a character and the objective is for a character to be sympathetic, but then through your storytelling, you show that that character takes joy in being malevolent or cruel towards their opposition, they stop being sympathetic to viewers. Yes, it sucks that Jenny heard her father say how when Jenny was born, she ruined his marriage, she kind of ruined their lives. That is a horrible thing for a child to hear, and the reality is, Jenny seems to take delight in being needlessly cruel to people.
It does not give her carte blanche to be terrible. She is just a horrible little girl to everyone. It doesn't get any sort of like repercussions for her actions.
And it's just constantly the movie browbeats that Mina needs to compromise. Mina needs to make Jenny happy. It's hard on Jenny. It's hard on Helena. It's hard on her dad, John. No one's sitting there to be like, this is hard on Mina. This was a little girl whose mother abandoned her
because she wanted to pursue her own career. That is a hard pill to swallow for just like a grown adult. Like, and this is a little girl who loved her mom.
Well, and that's the thing, like, she gets letters from her mother. This is the same woman who, one night, you went to sleep and she said goodnight to you, and you wake up the next day and she's gone. But she still feels comfortable enough to be like, oh, here's a letter. Isn't that like sending a letter being like, hey, remember when I abandoned you for my selfish desires to have what I wanted? Instead of maybe thinking I shouldn't have a kid if I want to, like, have a career?
Maybe, Nero, maybe. Or maybe Mina just needs to get over it. Have you ever thought of that?
Yeah, I did think of that because the movie, apparently Mina needs to get over her stuff.
What the movie really needed was just a moment of realization from each one of the characters, from John especially, to basically understand, which is like, oh, Mina is going through this, and I've been like really selfish, just putting all this on my daughter while I'm trying to basically, you know, kowtow to my new stepdaughter and such. In his efforts to try to make Jenny feel good, he does some frankly disgusting stuff to Mina.
He does things that, like, stuff that Mina likes, and he gives it to Jenny. So, like, he gave, like, a pet name to Mina, and he just gives that pet name to Jenny.
Come on, Mina Mouse. Well, of course not, Jenny Mouse.
Jenny Mouse?
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, we should really talk about Mina's actual parental figure that is actually more healthy. Gaff from the Dreambuilder world.
Gaff is an interesting character because everybody gets a personal dream builder who obviously you could argue sort of works kind of like the emotions from Inside Out.
Yeah, just sort of all blended into one. They're the director of the dream, with the little robots and such making all the stages and such like that. And Gaff is Mina's. In the movie story, Gaff has apparently gotten too close to Mina, as like the big inspector comes down to be like, Gaff, you can't be that emotionally involved with the dreamer and all that. No one should be that emotionally involved. Without any sort of distinction as to why.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, like, it's such an interesting idea of, like, in Inside Out, the way I perceive the way Inside Out works is that those emotional spectrum beings from Inside Out aren't real people. They're just there to illustrate to us as a viewer that is the emotional war that is going on inside the girl's head at the time of that story. I would think that's what Gaff is supposed to be, where it's like Gaff is sort of like our subconscious. The idea being that our subconscious uses our emotions, manifests them as dreams to help us understand and try to conceive what has been happening in our day-to-day lives while we're awake. But the movie doesn't really do that. It seems like they're real beings that exist on another plane of existence.
And that's fine. Just play more literal with it, in a sense. There's another magical world where you have dreams and such like that. It still plays with a nice parallel. Like, I think that is the writing that we enjoyed the most. Where Jenny's whole thing, which is like she got everything that she wanted from her mom, and that made her into a spoiled brat. And then Mina, at first glance, seems like exact opposite of her. She seems very meek, always eager to basically do what others ask of her to do. But as soon as she basically makes it to the dream world and meets Gaff, roles immediately reverse. Mina's then asking Gaff to do everything that she wants him to do, despite him, like, he can get in serious trouble for this, but Mina doesn't care. Mina just wants to get her desires now, mirroring exactly what Jenny's feeling.
Which gets down to the crux at the end of the film where you and I were like, the strongest emotional connections they sort of push, and even then it doesn't feel fully realized, is between Mina and Jenny. John is supposed to be that he's married to a new woman, and quite frankly, Helen and John's relationship is non-existent.
Yeah, just sort of the entire relationship is entirely based on Jenny's mood, in terms of just like, I don't like this hamster, I want sushi, and just like, oh, we should leave right now.
John, I've called the movers and they'll be here tomorrow.
It was so entirely maddening to basically just see just how quickly everything just changed based on just Jenny's mood.
So I have a question. Is this a film you'd recommend? Because on one half, I genuinely found it pretty fascinating. And I think, like, even films that maybe don't stick the landing of whatever it is they're trying to tell, I think watching them is good, because if you're going to aspire to maybe go into a creative field and become a writer, seeing films like this where it's like, oh, there's pretty good setup, and then it just feels like, with hindsight, it's easier to criticize a film than when working on it in the moment.
Yeah, because I can definitely see on paper why all these elements would work together. I can see the back and forth between Jenny and Mina being the strongest part of the movie in script form and everything like that. And I can see where John and Helena wouldn't be the key highlight characters in the movie, so of course they would be pushed farther into the back. It's just now that we see it in completely executed form, how everything needed to be much more balanced in the final product. So I would actually recommend Dreambuilders. It does do a lot creatively that basically makes me dissect it a whole lot more, bring into my own creative ideas. It gives me a better understanding of what I can do for world building, character development, and also narrative development, because this movie tried to basically go for that. It tried to give you that emotional draw of broken families coming together, but didn't fully stick the landing.
Well, guys, that's our review of Dreambuilders, and honestly, give it a shot. It might be something you may enjoy.
And be sure to comment below on what you thought of Dreambuilders, and if you have an animated gem of your own that you want us to review, please comment below and tell us about it. We're happy to always find new diamonds in the rough. But as always, guys, until next time, be sure to tune in
To ToonGrin.